Alright, in this video we're going to go over the disassembly of the Glock 27 handgun. As always, when handling firearms, the first thing we do is we check to make sure they're unloaded. So go ahead and depress the magazine release here at the back of the trigger guard. The magazine will drop out. We can see it's empty and set aside. Grip those rear of the slide serrations here, rack the slide. We can see the chamber's empty and the gun is unloaded. We can begin disassembling it. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the slide assembly from the frame assembly. To do that, you actually need to dry fire the weapon first to get the striker assembly out of the way. Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to retract the slide slightly. The reason is the slide is held on by this takedown lever here, which actually has a little flange that pulls up. And what you need to do is you need to pull that down so that the slide can run forward off the frame. But to do that, the slide actually has to be back a little bit. So now if you reset the slide about more than half an inch, the trigger will actually reset. And so you don't want the trigger to reset on you because then you won't be able to remove it. So the most common method is to grip over the top of the slide here with all four of your fingers of your strong hand and push downward with your thumb on the back of the grip where the web of your hand would go. You can see I can push the frame forward just a little bit, and you just want the slightest bit of movement back of the frame. Once you've done that and you pull back, you can use your other hand, using your thumb on one side and a finger on the other side, to simultaneously depress this lever on both sides of the gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the slide back a little bit, drop this lever, and then you need to push the slide forward off the gun, and that way you'll be able to disassemble it. So again, pull back on the slide, depress the lever on each side, push forward with your hand, and you can see the slide is free now, and you can just pull it straight off the front of the gun. Alrighty. Now, for the frame assembly, there shouldn't be too much you need to clean around here. There will be very little gunpowder kickback in this area. Just use a Q-tip and go through and clean up this area. Don't mess with the trigger assembly here in case you're exceedingly confident in what you're doing. A lot of people try to replace this with aftermarket parts, 3.5 pound connectors, whatever. But if you don't know what you're doing, go ahead and take it to your local gunsmith. For the slide assembly, you need to remove the recoil spring assembly. This back plate here is held in place by that little ledge right there. So go ahead and depress the spring a little bit. It'll rotate out, and you can go ahead and remove the entire recoil spring guide. Last thing to do is just take the barrel out. The barrel is a typical camming action, so go ahead and push the barrel forward a little bit, and then you'll be able to rotate her straight out. For the barrel, go ahead and use bore snake, Q-tips, whatever it is you use. Go ahead and clean up the inside of the barrel, and that'll be all you'll need to do with this. This is a solid one-piece assembly. You'll end up re-rolling a couple of these parts here when we reassemble the weapon. And finally, for the slide assembly, there shouldn't be too much you need to clean around here. Go ahead and clean around the inside of the slide, the face where the firing pin hits the primer of the cartridge. A little bit on the rails might have a little bit of buildup. The firing pin channel here, the striker, something you wouldn't need to mess with, so don't play with it unless, again, you're exceedingly confident in what you're doing. Here's the striker, the firing pin block for the safety, the little center lever on the trigger. So when you depress that, this moves out of the way so you can actually fire the weapon. That shouldn't be too dirty. You may want to clean around that so that piece moves freely, and that should be very easy to move back and forth. And that is the disassembly of a Glock Model 27.